A swanky high-rise building looms in the dead of night, looking seriously expensive. Our boy Takashi cannot believe his eyes. This penthouse is really his reward. His angelic-looking companion smugly explains she cashed out his fantasy world loot for it. Stepping inside, he is absolutely floored by the sheer luxury of the place. This kid's still sweating, asking one more time if this is for real, like he is waiting for the punchline. And the answer is a very, very enthusiastic yes. She gets real close, whispering that this is his just compensation, and he looks about ready to melt. But let us rewind a few days to see how our guy earned this 5-star treatment. Back then, Takashi was just a humble delivery guy dropping off an order at some apartment. His big payday for the job is a whopping 12 yen in change. Do not spend it all at once. With a cheerful thanks, Takashi and Yui just takes the pocket change and moves on with his day. He marks the quest complete on his Saber Eats app, which looks suspiciously like a video game. This app has been his side hustle, a way to make extra cash after his main job. Checking for his next gig, he sees a new delivery pop up on the map. Then he spots the destination, that same damn tower mansion, and his face just drops. Knowing high-rises are a total waste of time, he immediately rejects the order. Instead, a nearby burger joint gets the tap, much more efficient for the grind. Helmet on and game face activated, Takashi pedals off to make some actual money. See, those towers are a logistical nightmare, long waits, elevator restrictions, just pure pain. He has clearly learned this lesson the hard way, remembering a past failure with a grim look. He is remembering that time he delivered to a regular apartment, a much simpler gig. This customer was happy, the job was efficient, exactly how it is supposed to work. With that job done, he is ready to grind out a few more deliveries for the night. While checking his app, he grabs a quick bite, multitasking like a true hustler. Time for the moment of truth, checking the bank account to see the fruits of his labor. And the savings are slowly but surely piling up, a decent little nest egg. All this saving and side hustling is for one big, ambitious dream he has got. His ultimate goal is to make enough money to just quit working and chill forever. 3 years away from his goal, he figures, though he'd love to double his cash. Just then, a super sketchy investment ad pops up, promising easy money. Yeah, right. Takashi scoffs, vowing to stick to his slow and steady grind, no risky business for him. But of course, his thumb slips and he accidentally clicks the ad anyway, classic. About to close it, something on the screen suddenly catches his eye. It is not an investment app, but an ad for a 1,000 yen coin holder. This cheap-looking gadget has him a little intrigued. A thought strikes him, this little thing could actually make giving change way more efficient. Suddenly, he is all in, calling this 1,000 yen purchase a bold investment in himself. And just like that, the purchase is complete. Our boy is now a proud gadget owner. With his investment secured, he is ready to get back on the road for the next quest. But as he turns, he is met with the blinding headlights of a truck. Oh no. Takashi screams in pure denial, yelling that this cannot possibly be real. His mind just cannot process that this is how his whole grind ends. He is begging for a second more for this to be some sick joke. And just like that, his body hits the pavement, his dream of chilling forever gone. All that saving, all that hustling for his future is about to vanish. Every last yen he earned is now just a memory as everything fades to black. But then he jolts awake, slamming his hands on a table in a room he does not recognize. His eyes are wide with shock and total, utter disorientation. This panic is still there, sweat just pouring down his face. He looks around the simple, traditional room, desperately trying to get his bearings. Utterly confused, our boy has no idea where he is or what just happened. Clutching his chest, he tries to rationalize it as a nightmare from overworking. Maybe he has been pushing himself way too hard and his health is finally taking a hit. Yet the reflection of the truck is still seared into his vision, feeling way too real. He starts freaking out again, absolutely convinced he was in a real accident. From behind the screen, a calm voice offers to explain the whole situation. Suddenly, a stunning woman in a crisp uniform with a glowing halo appears before him. Her expression is a perfect mix of smug and serene, like she knows absolutely everything. Takashi points, completely bewildered, asking who the hell she is. She just smiles, coolly introducing herself as a very capable woman. Takashi's brain finally catches up, pointing out the glowing halo above her head. She calmly asks if he is ready for the explanation now that he has settled down a bit. But our boy is still sweating buckets, clearly not okay with any of this. Her serene gaze just locks onto him like a teacher waiting for a slow student. With a gentle smile, she seems to be enjoying his total confusion just a little too much. Takashi's mind is racing, trying to figure out where to even begin with his questions. His first thought is the most important one, what the hell happened to him? And she has already predicted his top 3 questions, laying them out with a smug little grin. He can only stammer that yeah, those were pretty much the ones. So she hits him with the 1-2 punch, you are dead and this is the afterlife. Then with the biggest, most cheerful smile, she introduces herself as God, yep, the asterisk God. Takashi just stares, completely unable to process this. Divine intervention, he immediately calls her out, refusing to believe a single word she is saying. She strikes a pose, asking if he'd prefer a more dramatic, godlike performance. Our boy is just not equipped for this level of cosmic trolling, completely losing it. Finally snapping, he decides he has had enough of this afterlife nonsense and gets up. This woman is clearly nuts, so he makes a break for the door to get some fresh air. She seems a little concerned, trying to warn him that is probably not a good idea. But Takashi yanks the door open, ready to bolt from this bizarre room, and what he sees on the other side stops him dead in his tracks with pure horror. Takashi hits the floor, recoiling from whatever fresh hell is on the other side of that door. His mind just goes blank, staring into an endless, terrifying white void. A full-blown panic scream rips out of him. This is way worse than getting hit by a truck. This so-called god pops back in with a smug smile, casually noting how dangerous that was. With a slam, the door just shuts itself, trapping him back inside this bizarre room. Back at the table, he asks if he really died, and she confirms it was instant, so cheerful about it. She then offers to show him his own corpse, and Takashi is like, absolutely not. Being God, she explains, means she can show him literally anything in existence. Her first example of omnipotence is a super gross close-up of his own ear canal. Takashi completely loses it, yelling about why she'd pick something so nasty to show him. He finally accepts she is God, but immediately calls her a total weirdo for her methods. This real proof, he says, was not the ear thing but what was beyond that door. He understood in that moment he was looking at something beyond all human comprehension. Oh, that, she casually explains, it is just the Sanzu River, the river of the dead. Our boy's jaw drops. That was the actual river to the afterlife he almost fell into. This reality finally sinks in that he is truly, irreversibly dead and on the other side. Now that the existential dread has settled, Takashi starts thinking logically about the situation. His big question is, out of everyone who dies, why is he getting this special treatment? He starts rattling off death statistics, 1 person every 2 seconds globally, 1 every 30 in Japan, so he concludes it is just bad time management for God to personally meet every single dead person. She seems a little caught off guard, asking if he has some business with her. Then her face lights up with a super enthusiastic, yes, I do. She explains that she specifically scouted him, and Takashi is like, an angel scouted me. Her first job offer involves a tuna fishing boat, which sends our boy into a cold sweat. It is not a Japanese boat, she clarifies as he stares blankly at an image of a ship on a stormy sea. This actual gig is monster subjugation in another world, a clear step up, obviously. Takashi immediately points out that slaying monsters and fishing for tuna are not even remotely the same. Still completely lost, he demands to know why on earth she would pick him for this. Her answer starts with a little reminder of that coin holder he bought right before getting Ice Guide. She was impressed he invested in his own efficiency, even if his only goal was making money. With a smile that is way too smug, she says that is precisely why she chose him. Our boy is still not buying it, his face a perfect picture of this makes zero sense. She then pivots to talking about his reward, and Takashi questions getting paid for a job he has not done. Leaning in, she seems to have a very simple solution to his understandable confusion. She decides it is just faster to have him experience it firsthand, much to his alarm. With a snap of her fingers, she sends him off on a trial run as he screams in protest. And just like that, Takashi lands hard in a full suit of armor, completely disoriented. He scrambles to his feet, looking around at some fantasy ruins and yelling, "Where am I?" This poor guy is still trying to process his new medieval drip and the crumbling scenery, when a giant dragon monster pops up behind him for a friendly neighborhood welcome. Our boy is screaming his head off because yep, that is a whole-ass dragon. He is also just now noticing the giant sword that magically appeared in his hand. This whole getup feels like he's been dropped into some RPG and he is not a fan. This dragon, meanwhile, does not care about his fashion crisis and lets out a massive roar. Takashi barely manages to dive out of the way of its lunge. He is sweating bullets because that was way too close for comfort. Scrambling back up, he tries to put some distance between himself and the monster. But the beast is relentless, its jaws snapping right at him, and its eyes are locked on its new favorite chew toy. Takashi's face just screams, "Oh crap, it sees me," as the reality of the situation sinks in. This monster rears back, preparing for another devastating attack, when suddenly a blinding flash of light erupts from its mouth. It is firing some kind of magical laser beam right at him. Our boy is screaming, his brain just yelling dodge. He throws himself sideways, the beam just barely grazing past him. Looking back, he is stunned by the sheer power of that attack. He lands hard on the ground, completely rattled by the near-death experience. This pure, unadulterated panic is back in full force. And of course, the dragon is already winding up for another shot. But when he jumps back, he flies an insane distance, way more than a normal person should. Takashi is floored, realizing he just side-jumped a good 10 meters. This dragon, however, is still very much ready to turn him into a snack. Looking back at the beast, our boy starts connecting the dots about this trial. And a quick flashback to God's smug face confirms this is all part of her test. With no time to think, the monster lunges forward with blinding speed. So Takashi uses his new super jump to leap right over its head. His expression now set with grim determination. If he can dodge, maybe he can fight. He soars through the air, sword aimed squarely at the beast's neck, bringing the blade down with all his newfound strength in a desperate dive bomb, and the sword slices clean through in a perfect, unbelievable cut. This dragon's head just hits the dirt, fight over just like that. Takashi stands over the body, completely shocked he just one-shotted a dragon. He is staring at his own hands like, wait, did I actually just do that? Then the monster's corpse starts dissolving into particles of light, leaving behind a big bag of loot with a G on it naturally. This reward just drops at his feet and he is still trying to process the whole thing. Inside is a pile of shiny gold coins, a classic RPG drop. Our boy's eyes light up as he realizes this is basically a video game loot system. But just as he gets excited, a brilliant flash of light engulfs him. His face is pure confusion as the trial run seems to be coming to an abrupt end. Takashi finds himself zapped right back into the room, still wearing the ridiculous armor. God greets him with the smuggest "I told you so" smile imaginable, clearly enjoying this. Still clutching the loot bag, he demands to know what the hell that whole experience was. With a bright smile, she calls it a work experience trial, gamified so his tiny mortal brain could grasp it. Our boy admits it felt like some crazy VR game, a first for him. With a flourish, she explains the 100 gold he earned was his payment for that dragon-slaying test run. Then she claps her hands together, ready to demonstrate the real asterisk value of his reward. And poof, that fantasy gold turns into a crisp 10,000 yen bill right in her hands. Takashi stares at the cash, the gears finally turning. This is not just a job, it is a asterisk paying asterisk job. She just smiles knowingly, bringing up that tuna boat analogy again now that he gets it. Now that he understands he can get paid, he wants to know what the actual work options are. So she lays out course A, just endlessly grinding low-level monsters day in and day out. This annual salary for that, she says, is a cool 10 to 50 million yen. He immediately questions the massive pay range, correctly guessing it is based on kill count. Then comes course B, forget the minions and just hunt down the big bosses for 2 to 300 million a year. Takashi wonders why the pay is more stable, and she explains it is less work with more potential for days off. This very concept of days off from his divine isekai job completely short-circuits his brain. His expression shifts into one of intense, calculating focus. This is serious business now. Leaning forward, Takashi enters full-on negotiation mode, the absurdity of the situation forgot. She asks if he has made his choice, and our boy looks up, ready to give his answer. Takashi cuts her off, asking if there is maybe a course C she is not mentioning. God just stares at him, a little thrown by the sudden question. She repeats it back to him like, "Course C, what are you talking about?" He confirms, deep in thought, clearly cooking up a brand new angle. Our boy starts talking big, like clearing the whole game or taking down the final boss. Then he asks about the ultimate hero gig, saving the entire world. Her expression is just pure, unadulterated, "Are you serious right now?" A super patronizing smile cracks across her face, ready to shut him down. She is like, "If we are using game analogies." And Takashi is already over it. Her eyes narrow as she prepares to drop a serious reality check on him. A goddess, she explains, would not personally scout someone for just any old job. Takashi's mind races. He thinks she is confirming his theory about some grander purpose. But she just looks confused, like he has completely missed the entire point. He's getting all fired up, convinced there is some epic, world-saving destiny at play here. And that is when her face goes ice cold, the friendly act completely gone. Our boy immediately realizes he has said something very, very wrong. Holding up the cash, she confirms his guess. Her ultimate goal is restoring peace to that world. In game terms, she says it is about defeating the Demon King and rescuing the princess. We get a cute little doodle of the classic hero saves princess from monster setup. A greedy grin spreads across Takashi's face. He sees a massive payday. She simply says understood, seemingly agreeing to his wild course C proposal. So Takashi asks what the payout is for saving a world on the brink of total destruction. With a greedy glint in her eye, she names the salary, a guaranteed 1 trillion yen a year. That number completely shatters our boy's brain. He can only stammer 1 trillion yen. Then with a little finger snap, she confirms the number is very, very real. As money literally rains from the heavens, she leans in and calls him my god, which is not at all confusing. This mission is now crystal clear. Go forth, earn 1 trillion yen a year and become an isekai mogul. 1 trillion. The number just hangs in the air, a completely life-altering sum of money. Clutching a bill like his life depends on it, Takashi is officially sold. He is taking the job. Delighted with his answer, she thanks him and says there is no time to waste. And with another snap of her fingers, she kicks things into gear. And Takashi is instantly back in his armor, totally confused as she says it is time to prep. She drops a pretty major rule. If she uses her divine power, any mortal witness just kinda disintegrates. Our boy is having a perfectly reasonable meltdown about the whole instant vaporization thing, but she looks bored. Her only explanation is a sad little pout, and that is just how it is. Top-tier divine management right there. To work around this, she is going to send him in with some pre-installed settings so he can actually be useful. But Takashi just stares at her, prompting a confused "what is it?" from the goddess. He points out that in all the isekai fiction he has consumed, you do not usually get a god who is this helpful. With the sweetest smile, she dismisses the idea of a tough journey, calling unnecessary hardship nonsense. And a knowing glint appears in his eye. He is definitely putting some pieces together. Takashi suddenly blurts out that he might actually be into her, leaving the goddess completely speechless. She immediately misinterprets this as a romantic advance, offering a course D that our boy is clearly not ready for. This goddess just laughs it off, teasing that he must like her more than the trillion yen, a bold claim. His mind, however, is on the money, thinking a pleasure worth 1 trillion yen sounds more terrifying than fun. With a serene smile, she thanks him for the compliment, saying he is clearly a man of priorities. Anyway, moving on from that awkward moment, she gets them right back on track. This goddess explains she's granting him power, basically a cheat skill just barely strong enough to save the world. Bracing herself, she announces it is time to begin the divine power-up sequence. And the first stat on the upgrade block is intelligence, which she is not being subtle about. All 11,765 hours of his life spent studying are being converted into raw power, sending him flying. This result is an insane instantaneous boost, with level-up notifications just exploding around him. Before Takashi can even process what just happened, she is already onto the next item on her list. This time, she is cashing in his 10,950 hours of exercise and commute time for another massive level boost. Our boy is completely freaking out, yelling for a timeout as she readies the next stat dump. He just wants a simple explanation for why he is suddenly leveling up like crazy, but she looks clueless. With a flustered apology, she admits this probably is not what he was expecting from cheat skills. Being a goddess, she explains, means she could just give him a power to insta-kill the Demon King with a thought. This catch, she clarifies with a polite bow, is that such an ability is her power, not his. And that is when Takashi remembers the fine print: if she uses her divine power, any mortals nearby just pop. She then confirms that if he used it, the only one getting vaporized would be him, a truly excellent employee benefit. So she clarifies this is all his power, just converting his life's efforts into raw stats. This logic clicks for Takashi. Since it is his own power, he will not go poof. But then he wonders, if that is the case, could not he just use her power to kill the Demon King? Her face just screams, "Did you not hear a single word I just said?" She reminds him that using her power without explanation would just get him killed anyway. Our boy winks, saying he gets it now. She is not the type to just let him die like that. And for the first time, the goddess seems genuinely caught off guard by his trust. A huge, flustered blush spreads across her face as she happily agrees with him. She even admits she might be starting to like him, and Takashi is just soaking it all in. Then she immediately pivots to demanding a 300 million yen engagement ring. Priorities, people. Our boy is completely lost, trying to steer the conversation back to the actual power-up session. He asks if they can just throw everything in there, like his commute time, as long as the numbers are big. Getting hyped, he suggests converting the total time his heart has been beating his entire life. She absolutely loves this idea, calling it brilliant as she gets ready to do it. And the grand total for his lifetime of heartbeats is a staggering 258,153 hours. With a manic grin, she shouts, "Let us do it," and unleashes the power. An absolute storm of level-up notifications engulfs Takashi as he just screams. When the light finally fades, he is just standing there, completely dazed by the stat dump. He shakily asks how strong he got, and she holds up a sheet with the final result. This result is level 98, and our boy is already thinking about how to grind out that last level. Takashi asks how they are getting to the other world, and she casually suggests she is just gonna throw him. He is understandably concerned about her aim, but she is as confident as someone tossing out the trash. But before he becomes a divine projectile, Takashi has one last, very important question. He asks if she is absolutely sure that money is the only reward he should be asking for. She clarifies that for saving an entire world, he could wish for literally anything. Our boy, with a grin that could curdle milk, says he is perfectly happy with the cash. He briefly considers asking for other powers, but then realizes they are pretty useless back in Japan. This goddess just listens, adding that she already knows what is on his mind, because divinity. And we get a flashback to his beloved grandpa, who always dreamed of traveling after retirement. Unfortunately, his health gave out almost as soon as he stopped working. Even in a wheelchair, his grandpa still had a list of places he wanted to see. Then he saw on the news that one of those dream destinations was destroyed in a war. This look of pure devastation on his grandpa's face is something Takashi never forgot. After that crushing disappointment, his grandfather seemed to age all at once. On his deathbed, his grandpa gave him one last piece of advice. His final words were simple: have fun while you are still young enough to enjoy it. And that is why he cannot get the image of his grandpa's sad face out of his head. So yeah, after all that, his choice is firm: he wants the money. Because with 1,000,000,000 yen a year, cash is the ultimate cheat code for living life to the fullest. He tells her he is going to do everything he has ever wanted, and he is going to enjoy it. This goddess is completely moved by his story, blushing as she says she understands. With a cheerful okay sign, she promises to have his assessment ready for his return, and he promises a bonus. And with that, she raises her hand over Takashi, ready to send him on his way. A close-up on her face shows she is concentrating, preparing the Divine Yeet protocol. She gives him a firm shove, launching him into the dimensional void with a cheery "off you go." Our boy can only panic as he is hurtling through space-time, which is a totally normal commute. He tumbles out of the portal and lands hard in a forest, the trip not exactly first class. Taking in the scenery, Takashi confirms he has officially made it to the Isekai world. Then he looks up at the sky and notices the sun has a very interesting lightning bolt shape. A voice right beside him confirms his safe arrival, making him jump out of his skin. Because the goddess is just standing there, explaining she came along to provide support. He asks how that is even possible, so she clarifies she cannot use her power but can be a knowledge bank or a human shield. In fact, she happily offers herself up as a max HP, zero offense meat shield since she cannot die. Peak HR policy right there. A very specific, slightly creepy grin spreads across his face as he processes the body on the line part of that offer. She just turns away, reminding him that unnecessary hardship is nonsense, as her only goal is solving the problem. And she gives him another one of those sweet, totally not hiding anything smiles. Takashi points at her with a sly look, saying he thought they were saying goodbye for good. Then he gets all flustered, covering his mouth as he admits he thinks she is a pretty great person after all. She just smirks back, reminding him with a little hair flip that she is asterisk a god. Our boy breathes a sigh of relief, glad she cannot read his mind right now because he was clearly thinking something else entirely. Our boy is still blushing, realizing he is genuinely starting to fall for this goddess. But their little moment is cut short when the goddess warns him that someone's coming. This welcoming committee is a bunch of bandits whose leader looks absolutely thrilled to see them. This charming gentleman offers to take the lady home, a true class act. Takashi asks if they are bandits and she confirms they are a bad type, which is the understatement of the year. He immediately steps up to confront them, his cape billowing for maximum dramatic effect. Their leader just cackles, mocking him for trying to play hero in front of a woman. Takashi responds by grabbing the guy's face and informing him his life expectancy just dropped. Then a single, powerful blow sends the bandit leader reeling back. He just sprints past the entire stunned group without a second thought. A look of pure shock on his face reveals he did not expect to be that fast. Meanwhile, the goddess watches with a smug little smile. This is all going according to plan. On the ground, the bandit leader is just completely bewildered by the sudden turn of events. Stopping to catch his breath, Takashi remembers his level 98 stats and how different it feels. Spotting a rock on the ground, he decides it is time for a little field test. So he casually picks up the stone, getting a feel for his new strength. Holding the rock, he seems to be calculating the perfect trajectory for maximum disrespect. As he winds up for a throw, the bandits mock him for trying to fight with a pebble. Then he unleashes it, the rock shooting forward like an absolute cannonball. This bandit leader's face is pure horror as the projectile screams directly toward him. That little rock connects with the bandit leader's face, creating a full-on sonic boom on impact. One hit sends the guy flying clean off his horse, tumbling through the air like a ragdoll. This rest of the bandits are just frozen in shock, watching their leader get one-shotted by a rock. In a flash, Takashi is already past them, the bandits too stunned to even turn their heads. A manic grin spreads across Takashi's face. He is clearly enjoying this whole overpowered thing. Now the rest of the goons are panicking, screaming that he is some kind of monster. It is a full-on rout as the bandits scatter, screaming for everyone to run. Zero loyalty in this crew. This goddess gives him a round of applause, smugly noting how easy that was for him. Then she moves in close and Takashi is clearly not prepared for the sudden proximity. Pointing to the abandoned horse, she happily declares it their first bit of income, leaving Takashi baffled. Our boy awkwardly pets the horse, admitting he has never actually ridden one before. A determined look crosses his face as he realizes this horse is the ice guy equivalent of a car, his first big score. This horse itself seems entirely unimpressed, kicking off his grand adventure of ice guy profiteering. Immediately, his mind goes back to money, asking her how much a well-trained horse like this is worth. She casually estimates its value at 1,000,000 yen and Takashi is floored. He is already making bank. Now on horseback, they ride away with Takashi reflecting on how easily he handled his first bandit attack. Seeing an opportunity, the goddess suggests they should probably raid the bandits' hideout for more loot. He then asks what the bounty would be for turning them in, and she thoughtfully considers it with a lollipop. With his priorities straight, he decides they will head to the hideout and figure things out from there. Which brings us to their master plan, using the goddess as tied-up bait, and she looks absolutely thrilled about it. So they finally spot the bandit hideout, which looks less like a fortress and more like a fixer-upper. Walking along, Takashi suddenly realizes he could understand those bandits perfectly. And the goddess just smugly explains she handled the language barrier for him, no study abroad necessary. Our boy is absolutely floored by this, but she just says it is normal for people to communicate. Getting closer, she cheerfully calls the bandit fortress a nice castle, but to Takashi it looks less like a castle and more like a sketchy countryside love hotel. This path up is a single, straight road, making it a pretty solid defensive position. Which means there is only one route for any would-be invaders to take, a total bottleneck. So yeah, it looks like their big showdown is happening right at the front door. Their master plan, by the way, is to use the goddess as tied-up bait, peak tactical genius. He is feeling a little weird about using a woman as a shield, even if she is immortal. But he steals his resolve, ready to raid the place for all it is worth. Inside, the bandits immediately spot their damsel in distress and take the bait hook, line, and sinker. A huge commotion erupts from the fortress and the goddess just thinks it sounds like a party. From the sound of it, Takashi realizes there are way more bandits than he expected, at least a few dozen. This sheer number of them reminds him of a chaotic Halloween party in Shibuya. With a determined look, he crosses his arms and decides it is time to shut this whole operation down. His new plan: sell the horse, buy some proper gear, and then come back to clean house. She reminds him there is no time limit on this mission. Besides, his own mortality. So with that settled, he is ready to make his next move. But before they can head off, their grand escape is suddenly interrupted. A tiny kid comes charging out of the woods, screaming about getting his sister back. His mighty stick attack connects with Takashi's gauntlet with a sad little thwack asterisk. Now this little warrior is just dangling from his arm, refusing to give up the fight. When brute force fails, he resorts to biting, a truly versatile combatant. So Takashi just casually picks him up by the ankle, holding him upside down. Even while dangling, the kid is screaming his lungs out about some evil doer. Our boy is completely lost, asking if he looks like a kidnapper to him. This kid just keeps yelling, demanding to know why Takashi took his sister. Then he points a shaky finger at their new horse, calling Takashi a villain. Turns out that horse belonged to the bandits who actually took the kid's sister. Whoops. This goddess just smiles, complimenting the boy on his excellent memory for livestock. But the kid's just crying his eyes out, begging for his sister to be returned. A flicker of understanding crosses Takashi's face as he connects the dots. With a heavy sigh, he just drops the kid unceremoniously on the ground. This goddess asks what he is going to do, and Takashi tells the little guy to wait right there. He then declares that he is going to be the one to rescue his sister. This kid is just stunned into silence, completely shocked by the sudden turn of events. Takashi asks him to watch the horse, confirming he is not one of the bandits' crew. She asks if he is ready, but he reminds her this heroic detour is only happening because they have the time. With a new time limit established, Takashi grabs a makeshift staff and charges toward the bandit fortress. He makes his grand entrance by kicking the front doors wide open, ready for a fight. This bandits inside are completely blindsided, demanding to know who the hell he is. One of the goons immediately points him out as the guy who took down their leader. Suddenly, the entire crew is on their feet, looking for some serious payback. But their attention immediately shifts to the goddess, already sizing her up for a quick sale. Takashi looks on in disgust as she confirms these guys are in the business of selling people. She then smugly estimates her own market value to nobles at a cool 100 million, leaving him floored. Our boy is just baffled by the price tag, wondering what kind of bubble economy this world has. She explains that as a god, nobles with certain hobbies would pay a fortune for her. Then she cheerfully adds that her immortal meat alone would fetch 500 million, a truly horrifying thought. He is absolutely losing it, realizing her immortality makes her a priceless target for anyone seeking eternal life. Meanwhile, the bandits are getting really annoyed at being completely ignored during this whole exchange. A very familiar, slightly unhinged grin spreads across Takashi's face. He is clearly enjoying this. This new acting leader has had enough and comes charging in with a massive axe. Takashi just watches the attack come, looking completely and utterly unimpressed by the effort. He effortlessly stops the full-force swing with just the palm of his hand. Then a single devastating punch shatters the bandit's armor and sends him flying. This poor guy goes tumbling through the air, completely taken out by the casual counter. And a close-up on the obliterated armor shows just how much insane power was behind that punch. This remaining bandits are absolutely losing their minds at the sight of him. His punch just completely vaporized that dude's chest plate, by the way. Without missing a beat, Takashi weaves through the crowd, telling them to get out of his way. Another goon gets a fist planted squarely in his face for his troubles. Then he follows up with a kick that sends a guy spinning through the air. Their new leader is screaming for everyone to swarm him, which is a terrible, terrible idea. Takashi calmly tells the goddess to step back and she just casually holds his staff for him. He reflects that this is his first real fight and he does not even have proper gear yet. But with his level 98 stats, he is feeling pretty damn confident about his odds. Standing over the fallen, he decides he can totally handle this entire mob on his own. Suddenly, he screams at someone to freeze. Because the bandaged-up bandit leader is back and he has got the little kid as a hostage, Takashi is stunned, yelling at the kid for following him into a bandit fortress. This bandit leader sneers that he knew they were accomplices, holding a sword to the crying kid's neck. He threatens to kill the boy if Takashi takes another step, putting our hero in a total bind. From this distance, Takashi realizes he is way too far to stop him in time. A look of pure panic crosses his face as he tries to figure out what to do. Meanwhile, the bandit starts backing away toward the fortress wall, using the kid as a shield. He orders Takashi to stay put, trying to make a clean getaway with his leverage. Our boy is sweating bullets, knowing one wrong move means it is all over for the kid. Just as Takashi is panicking, the goddess starts calmly walking toward the hostage situation. This bandit leader is sweating, screaming at her to stop right there. But she just strolls right up to him, completely unfazed by the sword at the kid's throat. Takashi is having a full-blown meltdown, absolutely stunned by her suicidal-looking advance. This bandit yells at her not to move, but she is already well within stabbing distance. She just gives him this smug little grin, asking what he is gonna do about it. And she keeps on walking, ignoring his desperate pleas to stay back. Our boy is still screaming from the back, reminding her that this was not the plan. Now the bandit is just terrified, demanding to know who the hell she is. With a chillingly sweet smile, she just repeats his own words back at him, "Do not come closer." That is the last straw, and the bandit leader completely snaps, shoving his sword forward. This blade goes straight through her chest in what looks like a fatal blow. Takashi's face is a picture of pure, unadulterated shock and horror. Even the little hostage kid is screaming his head off, completely traumatized. This bandit leader himself is yelling, probably in a mix of victory and sheer panic. From Takashi's view, it looks like his immortal partner just got herself killed. She looks down at the sword sticking out of her with genuine surprise. Our hero is just frozen in place, trying to process the absolute disaster unfolding. Then a little light bulb goes off in his head as he suddenly remembers something important. Right as the goddess casually pulls the sword out of her own chest like it is a splinter. With a serene smile and a bit of blood on her chin, she looks completely unbothered by the whole getting stabbed thing. She holds the sword she just yanked out of herself, examining it like a curious toy. Both the bandit and the kid are just staring, their brains completely short-circuiting at the sight. Seeing his opening, Takashi immediately blitzes forward to grab the hostage. In a flash, he snatches the kid right out of the bandit leader's grasp. and lands a safe distance away, holding the very confused boy in his arms. This leaves the bandit leader standing there all alone, his human shield suddenly gone. Without a moment's hesitation, Takashi hurls his staff like a javelin right at the guy's face. It connects with a brutal crunch, sending the last conscious bandit to the floor for good. Standing over the wreckage, she congratulates him and he declares the fight officially over. A quiet moment passes as the dust settles around the now liberated fortress. This remaining goons are already booking it out of there, screaming about revenge like total chumps. Takashi asks if that is really all of them, and she confirms the cliché underlings have fled. Just then, the little kid spots someone in the crowd and yells out for his sister. He runs into her arms for a tearful reunion, surrounded by the other rescued captives. Our boy and the goddess just watch the scene, sharing a genuinely satisfied look. He reflects on how lucky they were, realizing they were probably about to be sold off to nobles. Then the goddess asks why he is not pulling the sword out before realizing she already did it herself. Whoops. For a horrifying second, she actually tries to shove the sword back into the wound. She then casually explains that losing 10 HP from her total of 99.99 is basically nothing. Takashi is completely mentally fried, asking if he is even okay after all that chaos. With a strained smile, he calls her a monster while she cheerfully explains she will not die. She gets all pouty, puffing her cheeks out to remind him that she is a god asterisk, thank you very much. Then she just randomly congratulates him, leaving our boy completely lost for words. Gesturing to the entire fortress, she proudly declares this is his prize, and he is just like, what prize? She explains that since he beat the bandits, their entire base is now his spoils of war, a free castle. His mind immediately jumps to the real estate value, asking how much this thing is worth. So she starts doing the math, factoring in the land and location with a professional-looking hum. And she casually throws out a price tag of around 5 billion, just a small fortune. Takashi's brain completely short-circuits at the number, his jaw hitting the absolute floor. He stammers for her to repeat that, unable to believe what he just heard. So she tries to put it in terms he'd understand, comparing it to a penthouse in a skyscraper. Our boy is just sweating profusely, the sheer scale of the money completely overwhelming him. His eyes are practically bugging out of his head in pure, unadulterated shock. The sheer absurdity of the situation sends him into a full-blown panic attack. Pointing at the castle, he is still screaming about the 5 billion yen, and she is like, yeah, I told you this already. A smug little O right from her shows she's enjoying his meltdown just a little bit. He is still processing, realizing she actually did mention the massive reward before. Even the rescued kids are freaking out as Takashi complains that everything is moving way too fast for him to grasp. Clutching his head, he decides this has to be a dream, but she just tells him to snap out of it. With the fortress now officially his, a new day dawns over their 5 billion yen prize. This rescued villagers come to say their goodbyes, thanking him for everything. And the little kid apologizes for thinking Takashi was one of the bad guys, whoops. He is just bawling his eyes out, genuinely grateful for the rescue and for his sister's safety. Which leaves our two heroes looking on with the most self-satisfied smirks imaginable. Takashi, now rocking some new armor, tells the kid not to sweat it was a confusing situation. He tells the boy to look after his sister as the whole group waves a final goodbye, and our boy gives them a little wave back, looking surprisingly heroic in his new gear. With the goodbyes over, the goddess asks the million-dollar question, what is next? A question that immediately sends Takashi into another full-blown panic because he has no clue. She just leans on his back, smugly pointing out that he has completely lost his cool again, so he decides to focus on the basics, suggesting they raid the fortress for food. Inside, they split up to explore their new digs and see what the bandits left behind. Takashi peeks into one of the rooms and finds something unexpected. It is a massive, fully stocked kitchen. Looks like the bandits ate pretty well. Meanwhile, the goddess finds a workshop, noting the fortress has specialized buildings. And looking out the window, Takashi thinks the whole layout feels weirdly like a school campus. Back in the kitchen, he grabs a knife and some cabbage, a look of grim determination on his face. Because apparently his level 98 stats apply to everything asterisk, including high-speed chopping, and he brings the knife down with enough force to slice the cabbage and embed the blade in the block. With his maxed out stats, even chopping a carrot becomes a feat of superhuman strength. In full-on chef mode, Takashi meticulously seasons the stew with intense concentration. He presents the finished meal and she looks on with a mix of awe and hunger. She asks what this delicious-looking dish is and he proudly calls it his special pork soup. A smug grin crosses his face as he admits it is a salt-based version since they are fresh out of miso. Taking the first bite, he remembers learning to cook just to save a little money. This verdict is in for a dish without miso. It is actually pretty damn good. Eagerly, she asks for a bowl, pointing out that offerings to gods are just basic manners. This is apparently her first time ever receiving a direct offering and she is totally blushing. Inside the bowl, the soup itself looks absolutely loaded with all sorts of hearty ingredients. Lifting her first spoonful, she gets ready for the official divine taste test. Her face just lights up with pure bliss as she declares it absolutely delicious. Happily chowing down, she calls this a divine blessing she could definitely get used to. But then Takashi's eyes go wide with a sudden, dawning horror. Pointing at her, he is totally freaking out because her entire body is starting to glow. That light just intensifies as he stumbles back, demanding to know what is happening. Our boy is still yelling, asking why in the world she is shining like a Christmas tree. A terrible realization hits him as the pieces start clicking into place. She explains that something in the food must be reacting with her power, causing it to just vanish. Her hand clutches her chest as she looks down, genuinely concerned for the first time. She tries to calm him down, insisting she is not about to just fade out of existence or something. Our boy is not buying it for a second, still in full-on panic mode about his glowing partner. She points out that with a face like that, she can practically read his mind anyway, no powers needed. While still shining like a beacon, she politely thanks him for the meal, much to his confusion. This reason she is glowing, she explains, is because she accepted a heartfelt offering from him. This reminds her of ancient times when people would offer up hearts to make her glow. Wait, hearts. Takashi is absolutely horrified, realizing heartfelt offering might have a much grislier literal meaning. Completely unbothered, she just keeps slurping her soup, telling him there is nothing to worry about. She compares the glowing to burping after a soda, a totally natural if slightly embarrassing reaction. After finishing every last drop, she gently sets the empty bowl down on the table. With a genuinely radiant smile, she thanks him again, saying how happy the meal made her. Our hero is just a blushing, stammering mess, completely thrown off by her sincere gratitude. Noticing his reaction, she asks what is up, but he just tries to brush it off like a total amateur. Then a light bulb goes off in his head as he gets a brilliant, world-changing idea. He declares that his next big mission is figuring out how to actually make money in this world. Since she is the all-knowing goddess, he demands she teach him the local secrets to getting rich. She confirms that of course she knows everything about this world, and his original one too. Takashi is completely floored by this revelation while she just looks smug about the whole thing. Striking a pose, she says you could call her a walking encyclopedia, though she'd rather you did not. But then her expression shifts to shock as she says she finally understands something important. She finally understands his whole deal, realizing his lone wolf act is just a fear of being a burden. A flashback shows him grinding as a delivery driver, vowing to never treat people like disposable tools. Back in the present, he slams the table, passionately arguing that colleagues should be treated as partners. With a fiery look, he declares he has never relied on anyone before and he is not about to start now. This just makes her smile, calling him a genuinely good person for having that conviction. Our boy is a blushing, stammering mess, completely unprepared for a sincere compliment. She explains that a person's heart cannot be bought and his earnestness is his greatest asset. So she offers him a deal, a formal partnership to help him find his way in this world. Takashi's brain just blue screens at the offer, the concept of a partner totally foreign to him. He starts to say something, a slow, dawning realization spreading across his face. Then with his fist clenched, he makes up his mind in a split second. Grabbing her hands, he awkwardly asks her to be the first person he ever truly relies on. She happily agrees with a pinky promise, teasing that he is terrible at communicating his feelings. That night, he gets right down to business, asking for her expert advice on getting rich. Looking at the fortress blueprints, he is still obsessed with that 5 billion yen price tag. He reiterates his goal. He needs a solid plan to make money, and she is the key. With a smug little salute, she says she will gladly provide the answers he seeks. This answer, she claims, is simple as the camera pans over a rack of very large weapons. Her brilliant idea for getting rich quick is, of course, monster subjugation. Takashi is absolutely horrified by this suggestion, monster hunting. She breaks it down for him, explaining there are 3 main rewards for monster hunting. This first and most obvious benefit, she points out, is just plain old safety. Because in this world, monsters are a constant threat, terrorizing innocent villagers. So by taking them out, you are basically providing a public service and getting paid for it. Number 2 on the list is materials. Monster parts can be crafted into all sorts of gear, and if you cannot use the parts, you can just sell the whole carcass for cold, hard cash. Takashi's gears immediately start turning, wondering just how much money we are talking about here. With a smug look, she asks if he is familiar with the saying, "One whale feeds 7 villages." Our boy racks his brain, guessing it means a single whale could feed a village for 7 years. But she corrects him with a smug little hair flip. It is not 7 years, it is 7 villages that get rich. And while a whale is not a monster, some actual monsters are worth so much people will risk their lives for them. Then she brings up that test-run dragon he fought earlier as a prime example. Apparently, dragon meat is a superfood for nobles, fetching up to 1,000,000 yen for a tiny steak. Takashi's eyes light up with yen signs, comparing it to hitting the jackpot on a tuna boat. She adds with a laugh that even if it does not sell, it becomes his property to trade, which blows his mind. He shoots up from his seat, asking if she is for real about this whole system. This revelation sends Takashi into a meltdown, realizing this is the simplest path to riches imaginable. He pictures himself with a truckload of monster corpses, realizing he can just grind endlessly without market crashes. With a little round of applause, she congratulates him on finally getting it. Leaning back with a confident grin, Takashi asks what the third and final reward is. Takashi is practically vibrating with anticipation, demanding to know the final reward. Leaning in with a conspiratorial whisper, she reveals the third and final prize is. Suddenly, a massive spotlight slams down on their fortress from the heavens. She explains that her little glowing episode basically sent up a divine flare for anyone watching, and descending from that pillar of light is a shadowy, ominous silhouette. This newcomer is one of the inhuman ones, a being from this world with immense power. This beam holds steady, basically screaming, "Someone important is here," to the entire continent. Our boy, completely out of his depth, asks what the hell an inhuman one even is. Peeking out the window, she just confirms their very important, very intimidating guest has arrived. Takashi, ever the gracious host, nervously asks if they should go say hello. Down in the main hall, they come face to face with a towering, mummy-wrapped visitor. This goddess, meanwhile, is trying to wrap herself back up, asking what he is doing out here. With a slow, deliberate pace, the bandaged guest steps toward them. This guy is the full package, staff, cloak, mysterious wrappings, the whole 9 yards. Both of our heroes take a very sensible step back as the figure approaches. Takashi blurts out that this mummy has way more of a godly vibe than she does, ouch. He then decides meeting this guy here is probably better than bumping into him at a pub, which is fair. This imposing figure finally comes to a halt right in front of them. Reaching up, the visitor pulls back his wrappings to reveal a surprisingly normal old man's face. And the old man seems shocked, saying he never expected them to come out and greet him personally. Takashi's jaw is on the floor, completely lost in this divine meet and greet. This goddess, however, acts like she is bumping into an old colleague, asking how he has been. Taking a seat, the old man muses that if she has found a loophole, this whole situation should be wrapping up soon. She just gives him this incredibly smug little smirk, clearly enjoying the chaos she has created. Then she snaps, yelling at him for ignoring her and demanding he introduce himself already. Our boy desperately asks who this guy is because his important guest vibe is off the charts. Takashi guesses he must be some kind of local god, but she corrects him. It is a little more complicated than that. She tries a corporate analogy, saying if she is the CEO, this guy is like a manager from a rival company. Still fuming, she insists he introduce himself to her new cooperator, much to Takashi's embarrassment. This old man scoffs at the word cooperator, questioning if she is actually the one doing any of the work. Grabbing Takashi, she clarifies that there is no loophole. If she uses her power, she still vanishes. Takashi tries to get her to just talk to the guy like a normal person, but she is too flustered to listen. So she formally introduces Takashi as her partner from another world, here to help solve her little problem. Our boy tries to play along, comparing this whole mess to a subsidiary company popping up, a truly terrible analogy. This old man just gives him this long, unimpressed stare as Takashi offers a weak, nice to meet you. With the awkward intros out of the way, the goddess claps her hands together, ready for the big reveal. She presents the old man as the third and final reward for monster hunting. Wait, a asterisk person asterisk is a reward. With a sweet smile, she calls this her return gift for the delicious soup he made her earlier. Takashi's brain just completely short-circuits, trying to process how a person can be a prize. He asks if this means the old man will lend him his power, and she happily confirms it. Bingo. Takashi is losing his mind over how casually she is treating this literal god. Pointing at our boy, she just orders the old man to lend Takashi his power. This old deity just smirks, saying his power is not free, it is earned, not given. She counters that it is asterisk his asterisk lucky day since she is the one who found him, much to Takashi's confusion. Her big sales pitch is that Takashi is the kind of guy who'd buy a coin case to make money. What a glowing recommendation. This old man is completely lost, asking what the hell a coin case has to do with anything. With a smug little wink, she just tells him to sit back and watch the magic happen. Then she dismisses him for the night, telling him to wait until they get back tomorrow. Dragging a bewildered Takashi away, she has clearly got some kind of master plan cooking. After a night's rest, it is time to put this mysterious scheme into motion. This next morning, they are walking with a horse he is supposed to sell for a cool $1,000,000. She leads him to a nearby town, confident a horse of this caliber will sell easily. Suited up in armor, Takashi makes the deal with a local merchant, shaking on the price. Back at the fortress, she presents a bag of gold to the old man, telling him to give it to Takashi. This bandaged god accepts the offering, finally understanding her bizarre little test. He then turns to Takashi and asks what it is he desires in exchange for the payment. Our boy is totally clueless, asking what he can even buy with this money. This old man reveals the truth: with enough gold you can purchase skills and even magic. Takashi's brain just short-circuits at this revelation, asking if he is being serious. With a weary sigh, the old god says if the offering is sufficient, he can make whatever Takashi wants. Takashi's eyes go wide, the word buy echoing in his mind as the gears start turning. This old god confirms it: with enough cash, he can literally custom order any skill he wants. Our goddess chimes in that stronger skills have a higher price and it is all about equivalent exchange. This news absolutely sends Takashi, who starts raving about what a total game changer this is. She dangles the bag of gold, explaining that making offerings to a god has its perks. Leaning in with a smug grin, she basically says, well duh, of course it does. Takashi finally connects the dots, realizing his soup was the first offering in this whole transaction. This old deity, clearly bored of this, just tells the kid to hurry up and pick a power already. Our boy tries to think, but he is completely overwhelmed by the sheer number of options. Then he realizes he does not even need to think about it, the answer is obvious. Standing over the table, he makes his decision with both of them watching intently. His first request is not some op attack, he just wants a basic healing skill. This choice seems to catch both the goddess and the old man completely off guard. She is shocked he'd pick healing magic, but Takashi argues it is the most stable choice to start with. Her reaction is a simple, teary-eyed smile, clearly touched by his decision. Looking down at the scar on her own chest, she realizes his real motivation is not just about strategy. A close-up on her eye shows just how much this simple act of concern means to her. Takashi, red-faced and flustered, just yells at her for walking around with that wound for so long. She just laughs it off, saying his kindness is making things difficult for her. Still beaming, she declares she will just have to accept another offering from him soon. With the 1 million yen from the horse sale officially spent, Takashi is all set for his new power. Back in the fortress, he stands before the two divine beings to make his official request. Our boy loudly declares he wants a healing skill worth the full 1,000,000 yen he just earned. This old god gives him this long, hard stare, clearly processing the kid's very practical choice. Clutching the bag of gold, the deity asks him a simple question: what is the name for the skill? Takashi is completely thrown for a loop, wondering what the hell he means by name. This apparently requires a full-on brainstorming session, with Takashi laying out name ideas on the floor like a madman. This old god just guesses the name is Takashi, leaving our boy even more confused than before. He then roars at him, demanding to know if that is his final answer. Talk about intense. This goddess immediately jumps in, yelling at the old man for being a complete idiot. She keeps chewing him out, saying it is ridiculous to put this kind of pointless pressure on the kid. With a smug grin, the old god points out that she is the one who picked this guy, so he better be up to the task. Her whole argument completely falls apart as she gets flustered, trying to defend her choice of cooperator. Meanwhile, Takashi is just begging them to stop fighting because this is absolutely not the point. She instantly switches gears, giving Takashi a sweet smile and a quick apology for the divine squabble. Our boy puts it all together, asking if this means he can get any asterisk skill or magic he wants. He's not just buying off a list, he can literally invent a new skill from scratch, name and all. He turns to them for confirmation, and their shocked faces pretty much say it all. He is absolutely right. Both the goddess and the old god are just floored that he figured out the system's true potential this quickly. This old god just lets out a little chuckle, basically telling her, "I told you this kid was interesting." She is absolutely fuming at his little jab, while the old god just watches from the sidelines, loving every second of this. This old deity just doubles down, saying she is a goddess. She is the one who believed in the kid, so it is on her. She fires back that the old man is more human, so he should be better at this whole being nice thing. This old god then asks if Takashi is really okay with him just picking a name for the skill, putting the pressure right back on. Takashi argues that since he is paying for it, the naming convention should be different, right? He complains that he just assumed skills came with preset names, like in a video game or something. Our goddess chimes in with some truly terrible name suggestions, which only makes Takashi panic more. Our boy is terrified of accidentally naming his skill after some other god and getting smited for it, a valid concern. Getting real tired of this, the old god just tells him to hurry up and figure it out already. Takashi is having a full-on meltdown on the floor as the old man insists it is not that weird to name your own skill. He imagines himself dramatically casting a spell called Attack Magic, Takashi, and it is just as lame as it sounds. Even the old god has to admit that screaming your own name to cast a spell is incredibly embarrassing. This goddess ponders this for a moment, finally realizing that maybe, just maybe, they have a point. Then she gets a brilliant idea, asking him why not name it after someone he likes. Suddenly, he is picturing a cool hero using a spell named after his love interest, and yeah, that is way better. His brain just short-circuits, realizing the coolness factor is on a completely different level now. She's a little confused as he suddenly turns to her with a look of intense focus. He is stammering, eyes locked on the scar on her chest, and she has no idea what is going on. Our boy explains that just chanting a god's name feels a little weird, but he has an idea. He imagines an army of monks chanting her name like a battle prayer, and he is not trying to start a holy war here. This old god is just cackling, absolutely loving the chaos he has caused between these two. He smugly comments that for an uneducated guy, Takashi is surprisingly insightful. This, of course, sends the goddess into a full-blown rage spiral. She starts yelling that he is way more perceptive than she gave him credit for, which is not a compliment right now. Taking all the credit, she screams that she is the one who found and trained him, so of course he is great. Takashi has to physically restrain her before she pops a divine blood vessel. Our boy tries to calm things down, but she is still fuming, completely mortified by the whole situation. After that little detour, Takashi announces he has finally made up his mind on the name. He just wants to call it Heal, simple, clean, and gets the job done. Both deities just stare at him, completely blindsided by the sheer lack of creativity. This old god asks if he is sure, and Takashi grumbles that he is worried about the old man's feelings too. His logic is that since the goddess is more human, a simple name feels more appropriate for her. Takashi promises to give a cooler name to a stronger skill later, and she just bows in apology, completely flustered. With a little smirk, the old god seems to accept this bizarre but heartfelt logic. He stands holding the bag of gold and formally accepts Takashi's request. Then the deity crushes the gold in his hand, manifesting a glowing orb of pure healing energy. A close-up on the newly formed skill shows a perfect sphere with a cross symbol inside. Takashi and the goddess can only watch in total awe as this power takes shape before them. This old god holds out the orb, telling our boy to take what he has earned. Reaching out, Takashi is about to receive his very first custom-made skill. The game has officially changed. Takashi hesitantly reaches out, asking if he is really supposed to just grab this glowing orb of power. This orb does not wait for an invitation, it just slams right into his chest, making him yell out in shock. Sinking right into his armor, the skill literally becomes a part of him in a flash of light. With a little ding, a status window confirms he has got heal, though our boy looks like his brain just got rebooted. He immediately questions the fine print, asking if the 1-1 means he can only use it once. This bandaged god explains it is a daily skill, the count resets every time he soaks up the sunrise. Takashi then asks about the energy cost, but the old man clarifies it is a simple charge system, no extra power needed. This deity then reveals the DLC plan, want more daily uses, just pay the same price again kid. Then he throws in a bonus offer, a magic that can summon the old god directly to him. Our boy is blown away by the generosity while the old man just explains it is a simple summoning spell for him. Turning to leave, the old god asks if there are any final questions, clearly ready to be done with this. But Takashi pipes up immediately, shouting that yes, he absolutely has another question. With a devious grin, he asks the real important question. Is there a good place to earn some cash around here? This old god just gives him this incredibly weary look, arms crossed in total disbelief. Without a word, he just conjures a small, bright spark of light in his hand. He then flicks the light out the window, telling Takashi it'll show him the way. And with a simple farewell, the old god vanishes into the shadows, his job here done. But a close-up reveals his smug little smirk as he thinks about where that light is headed. This light zips over the forest as the god muses that this little opportunity might just break a few of the kid's bones. And so the deal was struck. Takashi traded a bag of gold for his first custom skill, heal. A quick recap reminds us how Takashi traded his hard-earned cash for the heal skill. Back in the fortress, he is eager to test out his brand new 1 use per day power. He recalls the old god's instructions, just chant the name and hold out your hand. So he points right at the goddess and casts heal, a soft glow enveloping his palm. His status window immediately drops to 0 uses and she looks completely stunned. Her old scar begins to glow as she realizes with a huge smile that it is actually working, and then she rips her shirt open to show him the results, much to Takashi's absolute horror. Our boy is losing his mind, begging her to please, for the love of all that is holy, cover up. She just laughs it off, musing that his values are a bit different from most humans she has met. Then she gets a mischievous look, saying that since he made such a nice offering, Takashi immediately assumes the worst and starts screaming at her to back off, a total misunderstanding. But a bright flash of light appears outside the window, interrupting the very awkward moment. They both look out to see the little spark the old god sent, just hovering there in the distance. This goddess points them in the right direction, saying they need to follow that light to find the money-making gig. As they walk, Takashi is amazed to see his heal skill has already recharged to 1-1, just like the god promised. His divine companion then comments on his choice of equipment with a knowing smile. Takashi smirks, confirming he ditched the spear from before and went with a classic sword. He explains that since he has no actual weapon skills, a simple sword is the most reliable option. So his loadout is set, 1 sword and 1 daily use of his custom heal spell. He gives the goddess a determined look, ready for whatever's next, and she just gives him a cute little smile back. Following the god's little spark, Takashi tells her he is counting on her for what is next. She gets all giddy, asking if he is finally ready to use her, which just breaks his brain. With a huge blushing smile, she is just over the moon that he is relying on her. Takashi is trying to brush it off, but she insists there is no reason to be embarrassed. Then she gets all weepy, so grateful he understands her divine teachings, while he just looks so done. As the guiding light zips ahead, he asks her to please explain what is going on. He questions what exactly they are supposed to find at the end of this little trip. She cheerfully explains it is a place teeming with monsters, a gift from the old god. Meanwhile, the old god muses that Takashi's business model forces him to understand humans better than most deities. Approaching some kind of outpost, Takashi mutters that there are all sorts of divine beings out here. Suddenly, a horse-drawn wagon comes rattling down the path right toward them. Acting on pure instinct, Takashi shoves her behind him to shield her from the carriage. His goddess companion just stares, completely taken aback by his sudden chivalry, and then she absolutely loses it, screaming at him while he just looks baffled. She is furious, yelling that his protect the maiden act is costing him major points. From behind the wagon, she lectures him on proper road etiquette in a fantasy world. Our boy is just completely lost, having no idea what he did wrong. She gets right in his face, demanding to know if he still sees her as some damsel in distress. He stammers that it is just an old habit he picked up from his grandpa's teachings. A flashback reveals his grandpa's life advice was unconventional, to say the least. She tries to explain that his whole ladies first reflex is what set her off, not that she is ungrateful. Turning into a pouting blob, she stomps off as Takashi just sighs about how complicated goddesses are. This guiding light from the old god zips ahead, not waiting for their little domestic dispute to end. Finally, the spark stops over a vast, empty-looking plain, signaling they have arrived at their destination. Arriving at the spot, they find a peaceful field with a few deer grazing calmly. Takashi scans the area, totally confused about where the monsters are. All he sees is grass and some deer. But then he gets a closer look at one of the creatures in the distance. And yeah, those glowing eyes and demonic aura mean this is definitely not Bambi. Its antlers are basically blades and it has got a mouth full of fangs. This is no ordinary forest animal. His goddess companion calmly identifies the creature as a blade deer, and the name clicks for Takashi. She casually mentions that this thing might be a bit of a problem to deal with. Our boy immediately starts to panic, asking just how strong this monster actually is. But she just peeks out from behind him with a cheeky smile, asking if he is up for the challenge. His expression hardens with resolve. Yeah, he is doing this. Drawing his massive sword, Takashi squares up against the demonic deer, ready for a fight. This monster sniffs the air, its head tilting as it finally locks onto its new target. And just as he is about to charge, he realizes it is not alone. More of them are rising from the tall grass. It is a whole pack, led by one absolute unit of a blade deer, and they all look hungry. His face just drops as the reality of the situation sinks in. He is not fighting one, he is fighting a herd. This alpha stomps its hoof, kicking up dirt and signaling the start of the hunt. This first blade deer charges, and Takashi barely dodges its razor-sharp hooves. This thing is a demonic blur of fur and antlers, moving way faster than he expected. Our boy looks up, realizing he is about to get turned into a shish kebab. His brain kicks in. It is too fast and strong to block head-on, so that plans out. So he makes a last-second dive out of the way, narrowly avoiding the charge. In a wild move, he actually leaps onto the monster's back, rodeo style. But just as he gets his balance, another one pops up from the grass like a deadly jack-in-the-box. And another one joins the party from the side, because why not make it a stampede? This alpha deer just gives him this dead-eyed stare, completely unimpressed with his parkour skills. Takashi grits his teeth, realizing fighting monsters is a whole different level of terrifying. Still, he commits to the attack, launching himself off the deer he is riding. This blade connects with a clean, deep slice right into the creature's side. That is one down, and he has got this absolutely feral grin on his face. From the herd's perspective, they just watch their buddy hit the dirt. This other deer seems surprised he is not a broken mess, which was apparently the expectation. One kill down, but the rest of the herd is just standing there watching him. Then the entire pack just charges him at once, so much for a one-on-one. With no way out, Takashi plants his feet and prepares to meet the stampede head-on. Winding up for a massive two-handed swing, he puts everything he has into it, and brings the sword down in a desperate, powerful arc right into the face of the lead deer. With the last deer down, Takashi takes a moment to recover from that chaotic stampede. He casually asks if that is all they have got, while the goddess claps, a little surprised he handled the whole herd. A close-up on her face reveals a genuinely proud smile as she congratulates him on a job well done. Announcing it is time for their reward, she kneels beside the fallen monster, ready to get to work. She holds up her hand with a little flourish, preparing to harvest the goods, which apparently involves shoving her entire arm straight into the monster's neck cavity. Takashi's sanity just shatters in the background while she calmly digs around for the prize. While he is having a full-blown meltdown, she is just muttering that the good stuff is in here somewhere. Finally, her hand emerges from the gore, holding a perfectly clean, glowing white orb. With a cheerful smile, she presents her findings to Takashi, who still has not rebooted from the horror. He takes the prize, recognizing it as some kind of gemstone, the monster drop. This little item is called Mother's Blood, a name that immediately short-circuits Takashi's brain. Her follow-up explanation is a masterclass in unhelpfulness, leaving him utterly baffled. A quick calculation reveals the haul is worth 400,000 and Takashi's eyes light up. That is a month's pay. She is all smiles about his first big score, and our boy is already counting the cash in his head. A close-up shot lingers on the gem, the weird, gory source of all that money. But as he stares at the gem, a suspicious thought starts to bubble up. He confronts her, pointing out the fight was surprisingly easy. Did she know about the other asterisk part? Her cheerful, totally not guilty expression is all the confirmation he needs, and he just explodes, realizing she absolutely knew how disgusting the reward part was going to be. Just as he is chewing her out, Takashi realizes the entire plain is now an ocean of angry blade deer. A view from above confirms it. They are at the dead center of a swirling vortex of monsters. While Takashi is having a full-blown panic attack, she just casually notes that, yep, they are surrounded. Standing back to back, she does a quick head count and cheerfully announces there are about 100 of them. She finds his shock absolutely hilarious, teasing him that of course deer travel in herds, basic stuff really. Then comes the helpful tip she forgot earlier. Blade deer retaliate with everything they have got when their friends get hurt. And right on cue, the entire herd's eyes start glowing with pure, unadulterated "you are gonna die" energy. But she sees the silver lining, chirping that if he kills them all, he will rake in a cool 10 million. With that massive payday on the line, the entire demonic stampede finally charges forward. Fueled by pure, unadulterated greed, Takashi lets out a battle cry and dives right into the fray. His goddess companion immediately turns into his personal cheerleader, calling out plus 100,000. As the first one falls, another one bites the dust, and she is already updating the total to 200,000. This is getting ridiculous. As a third deer falls, she is practically singing about the 300,000 he has earned, having the time of her life. She gives him this sly, knowing look, asking if this is the kind of offering he was hoping for. Panting and covered in gore, Takashi just grins and admits that yeah, this is exactly it. With a feral scream, he goes all in, yelling that he is gonna earn every last yen as the counter skyrockets. He has figured out the trick. Taking on 100 is impossible, but he can handle them 4 or 5 at a time. Surrounded by fallen monsters, he leans on his sword, realizing this is going to be a very, very long day. A weirdly confident smile spreads across his face as he recalls his old part-time job at a fried chicken shop. Turns out his training was cutting over 100 kilos of meat daily. This is just another day at the office for him. Takashi squeezes his eyes shut, channeling every bit of focus he has for the slaughter ahead. His face goes full-on robot as he tells himself to kill his heart and become a machine. From the sidelines, his goddess companion thinks this new development is getting very interesting. She starts stripping off her outer layer, getting way too hyped for her role as cheerleader. With her jacket tied securely around her waist, she is ready for the show to begin. She gleefully announces he has entered corporate drone mode while he just carves through the herd. A switch flips in his head, turning him into a pure, unfeeling engine of destruction. He becomes a literal whirlwind of death, leaving a trail of bodies as she watches with a smile. After what feels like an eternity, he is panting, the physical toll finally starting to hit him. Leaning on his sword amidst the carnage, he desperately asks if it is finally over. Standing in a field of his own making, he suddenly remembers he has an energy drink. He pulls out his one and only healing item, hoping it'll be enough to get him through this. But as he recovers, a sickening crack runs right up the length of his massive sword. This blade, having endured an entire stampede, is finally starting to give out. Takashi can only watch in utter disbelief as his only weapon begins to fail him. And with a final devastating snap, the sword shatters, leaving him completely defenseless. His goddess, completely unfazed, congratulates him on earning a cool 10.3 million yen. She is absolutely buzzing about how into it he was, but he just snaps that he had no choice. Turns out this drone mode is just a trauma response from his old part-time job at a fried chicken joint. He is stunned that a goddess did not know, but she just shrugs it off as an unexpected surprise. She admits with a blush that she was just messing with him because he is so entertaining. Patting his head like a puppy, she says she's just trying to understand him better every day. She explains that in his world she could have just looked him up, but here it is way more fun. Walking through the carnage, she cheerfully announces he has to harvest all those gems by hand now. Takashi's brain just blue screens at the thought of digging through 100 monster corpses. His face says it all, this is his personal, gore-filled minimum wage hell. As the sun sets, the final tally hits 10.3 million and she is just thrilled about all this overtime, so he gets back to the grind, carving up the last of the herd while she directs from the sidelines. Finally finished, he is panting over the last body, admitting it was absolutely disgusting work. This moon is high in the sky by the time the gruesome harvesting is finally over. His goddess companion, looking totally satisfied, congratulates him on a job well done. Now they are trekking through the woods with Takashi hauling a giant sack of monster loot. He tries to play it cool, insisting the bag is not heavy at all, which seems to surprise her. Turns out this is nothing compared to hauling supplies at his old job. He is a professional pack mule. With a confident grin, he figures he must be getting close to hitting max level now. At last they arrive at the gates of a massive walled city, their destination in sight. But Takashi suddenly bolts ahead, telling her to wait for just a moment. And the reason becomes clear, he got her a spot in a fancy outdoor hot spring. She's just soaking it all in, completely blissed out after their long, bloody day. It clicks, he ran ahead so she could go first, and she is absolutely beaming about his gesture. From the hot spring, she teases him for being bold enough to leave a woman covered in blood. He just sputters back that her choice of words is absolutely not normal. Peeking through the fence, our boy nervously asks if the water temperature is okay. She gives him a serene smile, confirming that everything is just perfect. And that is the final straw. Takashi's brain short-circuits with a massive nosebleed. Then she goes for the kill shot, asking if he'd like to join her in the bath. He completely loses it, screaming that she is a goddess and he absolutely cannot. In a desperate retreat, he announces he is going to go store the gems immediately. Night falls on the empty bathhouse fence, our boy having successfully fled the scene. Outside, he finds a weird, bandaged little statue and starts venting his frustrations to it. But his mind is still stuck on one thing, and it is definitely not monster gems. His brain helpfully supplies a fantasy of her washing his back, which is not helping. So he starts smacking himself, trying to purge the thoughts by repeating she is a goddess over and over. After a moment, he just sighs, looking down at the strange, wrapped-up being. He gives its head a little pat, maybe out of sympathy or just to calm himself down, which immediately causes the little guy to start glowing and disintegrating in his hands. This light intensifies, revealing this was definitely not just some garden gnome, and Takashi recognizes that glow, it is the same light from his grandfather. Hearing the commotion, his goddess companion steps out to see what is going on. She finds him in a full-blown panic, holding the dissolving person and screaming his head off. His goddess, fresh from her bath and wrapped in a towel, is just frozen in utter shock. She casually tells a frantic Takashi that he is filthy and can wash up later, completely missing the point. They both stare at the glowing light, wondering if this is what all the commotion is about. A massive pillar of light erupts into the sky, and Takashi immediately recognizes that energy signature. From that blinding flash, a shadowy form begins to materialize out of thin air. This bandages that once covered the little statue start to unravel dramatically, revealing a very confident, very not-a-statue woman who announces she has finally arrived. With a sly grin, she declares that it is time for everyone's favorite activity, leveling up. Takashi and his goddess can only stare, their brains struggling to process this new arrival. This bandaged woman casually strolls over, greeting Takashi's goddess like an old acquaintance. His goddess is not having it, demanding to know why she showed up empty-handed of all things. She explains she sent a proxy, and Takashi just tagged along because it looked fun, much to his embarrassment. This newcomer gives our boy a long, judgmental once-over, clearly sizing him up. Then her face lights up with recognition, realizing exactly who Takashi is. Looking back at the statue, she asks if it is okay to be a non-human, leaving Takashi totally lost. She winks, telling him to ditch the lame name and just call her the level-up god instead. But his goddess immediately shuts that down, clarifying that she is absolutely not a god, just to be clear. In fact, she's basically a sales rep from a rival company, a point the new girl does not appreciate. While Takashi panics about how sketchy this all is, the new woman gets right in his personal space. But then the words level up god finally register and his greed completely overloads his common sense. This level up god seems genuinely flustered by his reaction, which is a fun twist. She immediately latches onto his arm, cooing about how easy he is to read while he absolutely panics. Then she goes full-on flirty, whispering that she might be falling for him, and our boy's brain just melts. His goddess cuts in, suggesting that since she is here, she might as well do her job and level him up. This level-up god just sighs, agreeing to do it but looking incredibly bored by the whole thing. Walking towards the spot, Takashi asks for a quick rundown on how this whole system actually works. She gives him a smug little look, assuring him it is not that complicated at all. This explanation is simple: you kill stuff, you get exp, and when the bar is full, you level up. But the catch is you have to summon her at one of these special shrines to actually cash in the points. So that is the gimmick. You cannot just level up in the field, you need to visit a designated service center. With the boring part over, she gets a wild look in her eyes and announces it is time to get started. She floats into the air in a dramatic pose, her bandages swirling around her as she begins the ritual. Takashi is practically vibrating with excitement, ready to finally hit max level after all that grinding. He is laughing his head off, admitting that being stuck at level 98 for so long was just plain weird. His goddess, however, seems to have picked up on something odd in what he just said. She asks him what he is talking about because max level is not a thing she is familiar with. This level-up god chimes in from the background, helpfully clarifying that max level is 99 duh, and right on cue, a massive level-up notification appears on his back, blowing right past 99 to level 101. She is cheering him on while Takashi just holds a sign with his new level, completely shell-shocked. He is still trying to process what just happened as she celebrates him hitting the impossible level 101. Takashi is just completely short-circuiting over this whole level 101 situation. His little chibi head floats over the city, absolutely mortified that he thought the max level was 99. This city walls just stand there under the moon, probably judging his life choices. Meanwhile, his goddess finally puts it together. Oh, so that is the misunderstanding he has been running with. Our boy is on his knees apologizing for his ignorance, which is just painfully on brand for him. But then he bounces right back, eagerly asking what the real level cap is: 255, 999. This level-up god starts to explain it depends on talent, but gets mysteriously cut off. She recovers with a smug pose, leaving Takashi and his goddess completely baffled by the non-answer, and that one word, talent, just hits our boy like a freight train. He immediately slumps over, completely defeated by the one thing he has never had. A quick flashback reveals his life of pure, unadulterated mediocrity: school, sports, the works. After admitting he even died to a truck, the goddess realizes he has a massive complex about being average. Seeing his despair, the level-up god frantically tries to reassure him that it is okay. She then declares she can just raise the level cap for him, and Takashi is instantly back to worshipping her. But then she gets all shy, admitting that right now she cannot actually do it. Turns out her big sister is the one in charge at the moment, not her. This new piece of corporate-sounding jargon leaves both Takashi and his goddess totally confused. That is when his goddess drops the bomb: the level-up god is currently sealed. Takashi can only repeat the word sealed, his brain trying to catch up again. Apparently beings like them have half their power sealed away, forcing them into weaker forms like that little statue. Takashi immediately connects the dots: to break a seal, you have to defeat a powerful boss. And his brain just about short-circuits at this sudden, massive quest update. He asks if this is the B course they were talking about, a plan to hunt down these seal keepers. This chibi diagram confirms it: you kill the monster, you get the god back, simple as that. His goddess explains that while that is the gist, each seal has its own special gimmick to it. Our boy is finally starting to grasp the massive, convoluted reason he is even here. Turns out a whole pantheon of gods are sealed, which is why the world is so messed up. So he asks if this is his true purpose: to be their divine, monster-slaying janitor. With a sly grin, his goddess promises the reward will be more than worth his trouble. Takashi immediately turns to the level-up god, asking if she knows where her big sister is. He tries to convince her to join them, but she is looking pretty hesitant about the whole idea. Her eyes go wide, completely shocked that he just offered to help her out of the blue. He explains that with her help they will be able to get more cooperation for the mission. Then he goes full hero mode, declaring he cannot just abandon her sister to get eaten by monsters. This level-up god is totally stunned, asking if he is really going to save her family. His goddess just watches with a knowing little smile as Takashi makes his big, noble pitch. With a burst of determination, the level-up god agrees to join their rescue party. She is so overjoyed she immediately tackles him in a hug, and our boy is not prepared for it. Meanwhile, his goddess just observes the chaos with a completely deadpan expression. A final shot shows her looking proud, reflecting on how far this hopeless salaryman has come. His goddess dryly comments on how he is not a normal person, while Takashi is just lost in the hug. This next morning dawns, signaling the start of their brand new, very weird quest. So the newly formed party of 3 sets off into the woods to find this big sister. With a goddess on one side and a clingy level-up god on the other, Takashi is clearly overwhelmed. He complains about her being way too close, but she just says she is happy to be there. And she is very *close, which is doing wonders for his saintly composure, obviously. Our boy is of course short-circuiting again, his brain barely handling the situation. He is trying to play it cool, but the gritted teeth and sweat drops tell the whole story. His goddess chimes in with a cheerful smile, asking if he is enjoying the atmosphere. Takashi immediately panics, asking if she is mad and completely misreading her amused expression. She then launches into a whole speech about how this is a hero's just reward for his hard work. Basically, she's giving him permission to enjoy it, which is not helping his panic at all. Just then, the level-up god points ahead, announcing they have arrived at their destination. This sight ahead immediately snaps him out of his panic and into pure, unadulterated dread. Before them, the forest opens up to reveal a clearing with a seriously ominous vibe. In the distance stands a massive, creepy-looking mansion that is just oozing bad vibes. This place looks like the final boss level of a horror game, not a rescue mission. Takashi nervously asks if that is the place, clearly hoping the answer is no, but the level-up god confirms it with a worried look. Her sister is trapped inside. Stealing his resolve, Takashi gets a determined look and prepares to storm the haunted mansion. He takes a single step forward, but it feels unnaturally heavy. Suddenly, his whole body feels like it is made of lead, and he is totally confused. Looking back, he complains that he is suddenly feeling super sluggish for some reason. His new companion nervously explains this is probably her big sister's influence at work. Apparently, getting close to this place automatically cuts your level in half, which is a terrible feature. Takashi absolutely loses it at the news, while his goddess just calmly calls it a special dungeon. Our boy finally gets it. This is a high-difficulty zone, which explains why nobody's managed a rescue yet. He does some quick panicked math, realizing his shiny new level 101 just got knocked down to about 50. To his horror, the goddess asks if level 50 is even considered strong around here. Her eyes, however, are practically sparkling with confidence, not a hint of doubt in sight. With a smug little grin, she tells him that for someone like him, it is more than enough power. And that is all the motivation he needs, a crazy grin spreading across his face as he gets fired up. So with their destination set, they face the special dungeon, another day, another dollar in this weird ice sky. A sudden swarm of bats erupts from the trees, giving the whole party a nice little jump scare. Walking deeper into the woods, Takashi notes that the place has a real demon forest kind of vibe. His goddess confirms he is not wrong, this forest is apparently crawling with succubi. And right on cue, a shadowy figure with some very distinct legs is seen perched up in the trees. Our boy can only repeat the word in shock, because of course that is the kind of monster they'd run into. She gives him the quick rundown, explaining they are a type of demon, so his demon forest guess was pretty spot on. Takashi just stands there, processing the word succubus and all its very specific, very distracting implications. His brain immediately goes into overdrive, just completely short-circuiting at the word succubus. Speaking of which, a succubus pops up, getting all up in their business while Takashi panics. This goddess immediately snaps at him to stop reading her mind, which he insists he cannot do. Mortified, he asks if his inner monologue is really broadcasting that loudly on his face. Shaking it off, he tries to focus on the mission, remembering they are in a dangerous forest. As they press on, the mood is set. This is prime real estate for succubi to pop out. Meanwhile, his goddess is critiquing the local monster design, complaining that the statues are not cute at all. A sudden giggle from the trees puts everyone on high alert, and the whole party freezes, looking for the source of the sound. Wasting no time, Takashi draws his sword, ready for the inevitable ambush. And there is their welcoming committee, the succubus from before, just chilling on a branch. Our boy is just yelling in a panic, completely thrown that a standard model just appeared. His new companion is just egging him on, telling him to go get him, which is not helping his composure. Even his own goddess gets in on it, telling him to stop being a distraction and get to work. Then the level-up god whispers to the goddess that this would be a great show to watch from a distance. She is absolutely sparkling with excitement, ready for the show to begin. He glances back to see his backup has turned into a cheerleading squad, which is just fantastic. But his focus is immediately broken as his eyes go wide in shock, because the succubus has closed the distance in an instant, now standing right in front of him. Before he can even process it, her tail is already wrapped around him and he is completely caught. This succubus immediately gets aggressive, and Takashi's professional hero demeanor just evaporates on contact. She is clearly having the time of her life, while our boy is 1 second away from a total system crash. He tries to fend her off with the hilt of his sword, which is the least effective strategy imaginable. After a quick shove, she is on the ground complaining that a normal girl cannot be defeated so easily. But then her expression shifts and that playful vibe is suddenly gone, replaced with something much more serious. In a flash, she is back on him, and Takashi is once again caught in a very compromising situation. His little chibi head just pops out, completely losing its mind over the whole ordeal. From the sidelines, his goddess yells at him to get it together before something actually bad happens. That is when the succubus sprouts massive wings, revealing she is way more than just a standard mob. She gets right in his face, and Takashi can only stare in pure, unadulterated terror. He is trying to fight back, but it looks like he is losing strength with every passing second. With a flap of her wings, she disengages and floats into the air, leaving him to collapse. Her smug expression says it all: mission accomplished, whatever that creepy mission was. Takashi is just left there, completely stunned and feeling the effects of that weirdly intimate attack. His goddess calmly identifies the ability she just used. It is a level drain. This words hit him like a ton of bricks because that sounds about as bad as it gets. She explains the succubus can absorb life force, which is directly tied to a person's level cap. Stumbling back, Takashi realizes that single touch just cost him a whole lot of hard-earned progress. Hiding behind the goddess, the level-up god recognizes the ability. It is her sister's power. Takashi puts it together, realizing this big sister is the one controlling the level cap, but she is no god. The lead pushes forward as the conflict keeps escalating. Tension builds as the stakes grow higher. The moment shifts and the balance tips. Something changes in the air between them. The scene holds, then moves on. Conflict simmers beneath the surface. He holds his ground as the situation unfolds. She takes a step and the dynamic shifts. The next beat of the story lands. The pressure rises as the dangerous clash keeps escalating. The lead pushes forward as the conflict keeps escalating. Tension builds as the stakes grow higher. The moment shifts and the balance tips. Something changes in the air between them. The scene holds, then moves on. Conflict simmers beneath the surface. He holds his ground as the situation unfolds. She takes a step and the dynamic shifts. The next beat of the story lands. The pressure rises as the dangerous clash keeps escalating.